not meet the test set out in Standing Order 264A, which has now become Standing Order 259A, which requires that the amendments in such an omnibus bill deal with an interrelated topic that can be regarded as implementing a single bill policy. And so the specific changes that are proposed to the Conservation Act and to the Reserves Act do not fit with the broad policy objectives that the bill in its explanatory note sets out as being improving the regulatory framework and reducing the compliance burden on business. That is not what the changes to the Conservation Act and the Reserves Act are proposed to be about, and therefore, sir, the bill, because all of the changes proposed in the bill are currently still under that umbrella of that standing order, therefore, sir, the bill does not meet the test and should be ruled out.
Excuse me, which standing order is the member quoting on? 264A?
264A, which has apparently now become Standing Order 259A, if I'm correct in hearing the Attorney General's first speech in the second reading.
The member wishes to...
Well, just very briefly, there are two issues. One is to timing. It's too late to take that point. It should have been raised, if it was to be raised at all, when the Business Committee was dealing with it. And secondly, if you look at the report of the Standing Orders Committee, I refer to Speaker's ruling on page 98, number 3. The omnibus rules allow for approach that facilitates the inclusion of a single bill of a number of interrelated amendments that improve the coherence of provisions. Well, that's so far so good. Proposed amendments must have a common purpose, and in my second reading speech I went through a number of those, or be linked to some broad policy objective.
I'll take one more contribution from the member.
Just responding to the points raised by the Attorney General in that contribution. His speech on the second reading did not, in fact, refer to the changes in the Conservation Act and Reserves Act, which are the specific ones that I'm saying do not fit the broad policy objectives that are required by that standing order. And relating to the first point raised by the Attorney General, sir, it's my understanding that actually the standing orders are still live at any point that the bill is being debated. In this reading of the bill, it is still being considered by the House under the rubric of that standing order, sir, and therefore the fact that it was not raised in the Business Committee does not mean that that point of order can't be taken at this point.
Yeah. Well, there is a very clear chronology of how these matters are actually dealt with, and the question of an omnibus bill meeting the requirements of an SOE is addressed at the introduction of the bill, and the House has now accepted that the provisions in this omnibus bill meet those requirements. And so, in that respect, the member's point of order is not upheld. Some other member seeking the call?